No, I don't think I'll need that. My name's Joe Drake, and I'm here to, I guess, represent Hadi a little bit on his book. Coming to the library is not the most comfortable place for me to be. I was a PE major in college, so I'll probably explain to you why that I didn't spend a lot of time in the library. In fact, coming here today, as we're coming into town, my wife says, "Do you even know where the library is?" And I assured her that I'd driven by it a couple times since I'd been in Maryville, so I didn't know where we were going. Hadi's book is entitled Iran. It's about a young man from Iran as a refugee. He was one of those that was persecuted in his country. It's a short read. I would say it's an easy read. If I got to it, just about anyone can. Anyway, when you read this, you'll find out that he talks about his early childhood, that he got to come to the United States and visit when Iran was an American-controlled state, let's say, or a country. Then the revolution happened, and everything changed. And the prosecution started. He talks about some of the things that happens to his friends, to his own family, his grandfather getting shot when he was with him at one time. It enlightens you of how the country has changed so much. Iran is still probably one of the number one supporters of terrorists in the world, and that was the country that he fled from. He tells a little bit, just as an example in his book, he talks about he was in school in one system and then it changed, and literally the people were being brainwashed. This is the things that you have to do for the Muslim religion. You have to do these things. And so at an early age, they were convincing these young boys that this was the ultimate thing to do, is to be a martyr for your country and do these things. So the boys would leave school and join. Well, one of the things they got to do when they joined is there would be someone on the other side of the field, and if you can get to that person over there, we promise you great things from the religion. You know, you're going to receive great accolades, all this. They were just clearing a minefield. Kids didn't make it across there. They were done. They either were killed or crippled, lost body parts, whatever. But that was the sacrifice, and then they would tell their families, well, they were great martyrs for the country. That's all good. So he touches on some of those horrific things that happened, and how the things he went through to progress to get to the United States. And they made different stops along the way. He came to Maryville, I'm going to guess in about 1985, I'm guessing. I think that's when he came into my life. And he came out for the wrestling team. I asked him, when we've stayed in touch over the years, of course, and I asked him one time, I said, why did you decide to come out for wrestling? He said, well, I knew nothing about football, and I was little. I said, okay. He said, I watched basketball, and they ran all the time. I said, I didn't want to run. I said, okay. And he said, I thought the girls would think I was pretty hot if I was a wrestler. I said, okay. He said, then I found out we ran more in wrestling than we did in basketball, and so he was not thrilled with that at all. But he did stay out all 4 years. He will also tell you, and I will say it too, he was the worst wrestler I ever coached. Never won a match. But that wasn't the purpose. He grew, he became a great person, and I grew because of him too. The one story I'll tell about him, when he was a senior, of course, he'd never made the varsity, didn't win on JV, so at different times in our schedule, we would have teams where we might have a little bit of advantage. So we would collect a forfeit, that would be where they didn't have an opponent, we did, so we would simply go out and get our hand raised, and that was going to give him a chance to be on varsity. So we set it all up, he was going to do it. We covered it the night before in practice, what he needed to do and everything. And one of our traditions was, when you came out of the locker room, you had your hoods up, so you were supposed to look evil, I guess, and we would line up across from our opponent. And when they did the national anthem, everybody took their hood down for the national anthem. And knowing Hadi was a Muslim, that wasn't their custom, and he wasn't an American citizen. So being selfish, I said, Hadi, when we do this, would you mind just taking your hood down? I said, you don't have to put your hand on your heart. You don't have to say the words. Just take your hood down. Because I knew, being selfish, it would make life easier for me. So The night of the duel, everything goes. We do the national anthem, and Hadi forgets to take his hood down. I'm not upset with it. I'm not upset with him. And he comes over and he says, "Coach, I forgot." I said, "Don't worry about it." Next morning, I go to school. As soon as I get to school, I get called into the principal's office. In there is the head of the National Guard out here, the colonel from the National Guard, and his son is also a senior on the wrestling team, and the principal. And they proceeded to chew on me because I had no respect for the American flag. I didn't make my athletes take their hoods down, say, do the pledge, the whole bit. I got reamed. And when they were done talking, I stood up and I said, "People, you're wrong." I said, "That kid's not even an American citizen. He didn't even have to stand up, let alone take his hood down." So I said, "As wrong as you are, I support the kid in believing what he believes." Of course, I walked out of the meeting and no more was said. So I get to practice that night. As soon as I walk in, I go, "Hadi?" He goes, I'm sorry. He knew what I was upset about, but I reassured him. I grew because of what he did. Showing me that it was still important to represent yourself. In the book, a couple things it doesn't talk about. Like I said, he came to the United States, I'm going to say it was the late 70s, maybe early 80s originally. He was baptized in August of 94 in a Jewish synagogue. He became a Christian. He worked in Seattle for a while with prosecuted Christians from other countries, from the Middle East. He did one mission in Istanbul. And what you have to understand about missions, we all know about missions. We hear people going on missions all the time, and it is a great thing. Only when he went on a mission and went back to Istanbul, if he was caught, he would have been immediately executed. Christians are executed, especially ones that are Iranians that change and come back to the country. That's automatic death. Well, he took that risk and went back. I think it was a year ago he called me and he was talking about going on another one. And I really talked to him against it, one because of his health and because of the great risk he was going to take again. But he was insisting that he thought he needed to do it. Well, his health was such that he could not. So the book does cover a lot. It gets it right up to the point where he does kind of come to Maryville. So it's his early childhood. It talks a lot about the revolution. It's kind of one of a book where it is from, a refugee from the country trying to just basically stay alive and get to safety. One of the things I got from the book from reading it was we hear a lot about illegal immigration now in our country. And here was an example of a young man that came here and did not want from this country, but wanted to be part of the country. And I think that's a huge, huge difference. And I think if people would read this and take it to heart, they would understand that a lot. I'm sitting over here listening, and then I hear the young ladies start asking questions about the book. I hope she doesn't ask me any, because I only know what I read in the book, because I wasn't there when all this happened.
Are you referring to me?
No, the librarian behind you, she put me on the spot. If you have questions, I'd be glad
I think
to
you said young lady. Well, I do have a lot of questions
Sure,
because
I'll try to answer them.
my daughter lives in New York City, and her companion is Haydar Katabshi, and he and his mother fled Iran. They put his father in prison, sentenced him to 5 years. I really thought it was maybe because he was a supporter of the Shah, but my daughter said no, it was for religious reasons, and so I don't know too much about that. But they fled, he and his mother, Haydar and his mother fled, leaving Mahmoud in the prison, and they were successful to getting to Turkey, and then they went to Rome, and then they ended up in New York City. He doesn't, he left, I think, when he was around 4 or so he doesn't have those memories. But does this author talk about about the Shah or the clerics or the revolution?
Yes. Yeah, he talks about the revolution. When his family fled the country, it was another brother, sister, and his mother. The father didn't get out.
The
So-
father didn't get out,
No,
no.
he's never seen his father since.
Uh-huh.
And he talks about the persecution. The country was basically American-backed country at one time when the revolution came. It was very extreme to the Muslim side, and so anything they've been taught ever since then, anything to do with the United States is evil. The United States is an evil place, and so all those people coming out of the country. When he went on his mission, he told me that he needed to go back. Even when he was talking about the second one, I need to tell my people that the United States is not like this. He wanted to tell those people because all they know is what they're told, and they don't get a chance. There's no TV for them to watch like we see, so they get another opinion. It's everything the government puts out and only what the government puts out. And so what you're talking about is very true. Many times when they escape and try to get asylum somewhere, the families don't always make it all out together. He talked in here about their house getting raided one night. And
House was raided, really?
They all thought they were gonna get shot. They were on their knees, the guns were their heads. And he says, I don't know what changed their mind. He really thought we were all gonna die that night because they thought they were a group that was resisting the change, and so they were just gonna eliminate them. Yeah, he goes in and talks about a lot of the strange, we would think strange things that happened in the country.
Yeah, I think the revolution was in 79, wasn't it?
I think that is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentions that, I think it's 79.
79. And
Don't ask me for a lot of dates and stuff out of here. I read the book, but yeah, I didn't take notes, let's say, because I did not know I was gonna be doing this. But yeah. And like I said, it's an easy read, and I think you'll find it enjoyable.
Well, you know, at one time, Haydar went back and visited Iran. Several years ago, I happened to be in New York at that time, and when he came back, he said that when he left the country, that they told him that he had left illegally for some reason, that they, they said something was amiss because they didn't have evidently a record that he had left many, many years ago. And so I think he decided at that time that he had better not go back to Iran. Well, he is a citizen of the U.S. because in New York, I was visiting at one time and I was due to get on the plane and go back, and his naturalization ceremony was after my trip back, and I said, well, I would love to see you become a citizen, but my plane is leaving a few days ahead of time, and I didn't change my flight. I really probably should have, but yeah, he's a citizen, so
Well, when they go back, even though they're American citizens,
but I don't think he's going to
they
go
have
back.
no protection. If they go back, that government does not care that they're American citizens. They are still Iranians, and they treat them as traitors.
And I don't know about the mom. Hakime is her name, Hakime. I don't know whether she hasn't been back, and I don't know if she's going to go back. I'm not real sure, but that's I have the book, but I haven't started reading it yet. But I'm gonna.
And like I said, Hadi wanted to assimilate into this country. He became an American citizen. He went to school, got a engineering design degree. So yeah, he became he contributed back because he was impressed with what he saw when he was a real little kid, and he knew it was different than what they were being taught at the school. And he strived to get back and be part of that. And he's tried to go back to his country and convince people that it's not what they're being told, but that's a pretty tough sell, I'm sure. And I'm sure my time's up. Unless someone else has more questions.
Not quite, but yeah, I was able to read Hadi's book as well, and just so you know, he's working on the second volume of it that picks it up, and we'll talk about his life in the U.S. and specifically in Maryville. So that'll be interesting when it comes out. But yeah, it's a pretty fast read because you're just, I just read it one sitting.
Well,
he gets right to the point, and it's very action packed. So yeah, there's some pretty there's some images in there. There's some stories that are pretty memorable
yes.
about being a small child in after this revolution. Because I think you're right, the revolution was in 79, and I think in 83, so there were several years that they lived under.
Yeah,
that
they
rule.
lived under the rule for a while, because it took them a while to figure out how to get out. One, they had to decide they needed to get out, and then, once they did, they had to figure out how to get that accomplished without getting themselves in more trouble. I know Hottie's talked to me about the second book, and you said Life in Maryville. He's also asked me if I could be in the book, if I cared if he wrote about me, and I'm a little concerned about what might show up, but I think we'll be okay.
Well, thank you for